Hi, I'm Brian Westbrook at GeekWire Studios. We are at AWS Marketplace Seller Conference 2023, joined by the General Manager, AWS Marketplace and Partner Engineering. This is Matt Yanchyshyn. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Exciting conference, lots of great things going on here in Bellevue. Talk us through, what have we learned so far? What are we looking forward to?
So we just had the keynote a few moments ago, and we were walking through sort of what we've launched the last few years and sort of what's coming down the pike. So it's nice to have a room full of sellers, people who really understand marketplace and it's important to their business. So kind of sharing, how we can help be successful together going forward.
What are some of the highlights over the last couple of years, and then we'll look forward?
So I think a few years ago, Marketplace is over a decade old now. And at first it started as a self-service platform, and then we made a pivot toward private offers, and that was really successful, and all these enterprise-focused and really seller-focused features. And what you've seen in the last couple of years is a shift back to self-service and back to focusing on the buyer. So of course, private offers are still really important and enterprise sales motions, but things like SaaS free trials or, improving SEO and discovery and really making core improvements to help conversion, really like to get to those private offers. That's what we're going to focus on the last sort of year or two especially.
And a couple of the things you've done to make it easier, adding automation, certainly one of those big areas. But talk about how you've increased AWS Marketplace's flexibility and functionality to make it easier for buyers to connect with sellers.
Yeah, first of all, it's grown a lot. We have over 15,000 transactable listings now in the marketplace, and with that sort of scale comes responsibility. And so we need to make it easier to discover them. So for example, like in the AWS console, like in the actual service console, you can now see marketplace listings alongside AWS services in the console. And we've also made big investments in integrating in other AWS service consoles. So for example, like EKS, our Kubernetes service, there are third-party add-ons that are actually marketplace listings that you can find within the EKS console. And we have 15 of those AWS console integrations now. So we're basically trying to put marketplace where the customer is, whether they're searching, whether they're an intentioned buyer, someone who's looking for Kubernetes is going to be in the Kubernetes console, put the marketplace listings there. And so that kind of, growing the footprint of marketplace and meeting customers where they are, improving discovery has been sort of a big shift in the last few years.
And some of that would obviously have to do with taking marketplace out of its own marketplace, as it were, and building APIs to interface directly with other integrations. Talk a little bit about the push for APIs, which feels a little backwards in some cases.
Yeah, you're right. AWS, you've been working with AWS for years, and you'll know that most AWS services start AWS first. Yeah. And Marketplace started as a website. Mm-hmm. And the website is still really important, really core to the journey of buyers. But what we realized, a few years ago is we need to play catch up a little bit. We need to build those APIs. So we launched a catalog API, and a discovery API, and we have more APIs coming. So we can have the whole sort of life cycle of a deal from discovery all the way through transaction and post-procurement configuration action. And you can do those through APIs. And we've realized is that like all other AWS services, once you build those APIs, we're surprised already by what partners and even other AWS service consoles are building on top of those APIs.
One of the great things about a conference like this, a gathering, is to be able to chat with sellers and find out what they want. Yeah. What are they telling you already today? I know we've had meetings over the last couple of days. What are you hearing? What's kind of in the back of your mind thinking maybe we should be thinking about these areas?
Partners want to build big profitable businesses with us. And I think what they're finding is as their own marketplace volume goes up, like the number of private offers, they want to be easier to manage. Mm-hmm. And so there's still a lot of manual operational overhead sometimes associated with managing private offers at scale. So about a year ago, the former APN merged with Marketplace organizationally, and you see that happening in our services, in our engineering as well. And so the place you go to do business with AWS, which is AWS Partner Central, we're launching new features to allow you to do marketplace things there as well, to understand your business, to create private offers, things like that, so that it's less work. Yeah. So in addition to the APIs and other automation and self-service capabilities, we're just basically trying to reduce the number of headcount you need to hire if you have a successful marketplace business, and make it easier for you to add automation in all sorts of different ways so you can be more efficient to do business and continue to grow. So, that's what I'm hearing is like, hey, marketplace is helping us move faster, we're growing, but please help us scale this. We can't scale linearly from a headcount perspective with the size of our business as it grows. It's a good problem to have, it means that we're growing a lot.
It does sound like a fantastic problem, and obviously you're at the forefront of that, kind of driving the technology and the innovation in AWS Marketplace to make it more accessible to everyone. Let's look into the crystal ball, look at the roadmap. You talked about this a bit on stage earlier today. What's to come? What are the key focus areas for AWS?
Well, I think it's only natural that, again, that we complete this merge of, former APN and marketplace, and really have that single pane of glass for all analytics, for all actions you need to take. Really complete that. That's sort of phase one. You're going to be hearing a lot about that the next couple of months. The other thing that is really important is, as we develop these APIs, I think we're going to be surprised not by just other AWS consoles, but by third parties, what they do with these APIs. Like if you look closely, there's partners like Domo or Deloitte that are already using our catalog API to put marketplace listings on their own websites today.
Right.
And who's to say what other partners will do, especially once we add more capabilities like transactions available through our APIs. Once we have that whole end-to-end procurement workflow, I think we should expect a whole raft of the whole ecosystem to grow around this APIs, and I'm really excited about that. And what it means is that customers will be able to interact and do everything they would do with a marketplace listing, not just on the marketplace website, but wherever they are, whether that's a third-party tool, we were talking to the Salesforce folks, or ServiceNow is here today, or in another website. If you're a big ISV and you want to embed a marketplace procurement in addition to listing, the ability to actually procure and configure and do all the nice things with your listing on your website, like, I'm cool with that. That's great. We want marketplace to be everywhere, and we want marketplace to really meet the customer where they are.
And for customers that haven't quite yet figured out what all AWS Marketplace has to offer, you've been working this for over a decade now. What do you feel like you would tell to a new customer, somebody just starting out the AWS Marketplace? Where do they begin? What would you advise?
Yeah, I guess my vision is to remove the friction, so that whether you're using an AWS service or whether you're using a third party, a partner, you should use the best tool for the job. So I would tell the customer, work backwards from a use case and don't differentiate between AWS services and partners. Like, look holistically across them and what is going to be the best thing for your customers or for your use case. And then, that's why we're investing in things like the search and embedding them in the console, so that you can build an application using the best building blocks possible. And that's what I would tell customers. Don't limit yourself. Don't try to be pure and just use AWS services, but also don't try to hedge your bets and just use sort of third party. Mix and make the best possible product, because the business is moving fast right now. Whether it's generative AI or all these other areas that are popping. As a customer, if you're building something, you need to move quickly. So pick the right tool for the job. Move as quickly as possible. Don't differentiate between AWS services and partners, and you'll be successful.
And building the best tools for the job is your job. Thank you so much for taking the time with us. I'm Brian Westbrook, GeekWire Studios.